You now and got a little bit of your background, so let's in a way try to jump into it. Kirsten, ironically, in the statements that he made earlier, laid out a lot of challenges that millennials themselves are confronting. There are a lot of challenges, and let me just say this, because I think even in terms of my son, something that you said, I think sometimes we think that progress is something different from generation to generation. And it may look different, but the fact of the matter is each generation is trying to continue to push forward. So for instance, if we think about Dr. King, for instance, Dr. King was 25 years old. That is the age of a millennial when he did the bus boycott in Montgomery. We talk about Black Lives Matter. Well, during that generation, Black lives were what Billie Holiday, a jazz singer, used to call the strange fruit hanging from the trees. So, and they did something about that. They stopped, just willful hanging of black men. Stopped. I mean, that changed. So progress is always made. So when you guys look at some of the challenges, and we could start with some of the stuff that Kirsten touched on, millennial young black men are killing each other every day. How do we as a generation begin to address that and affect that?
Well, first of all, everybody's angry. I think, when you look at the socioeconomic status of the way things are right now, you look at the American dream, we're promised, well, I don't want to say 40 acres and a mule, but you're promised you go to school and you get a job. That's a lie. It's about how you hustle. The old proverb, you teach a person to fish, they'll be able to live a lifetime versus, you fish to somebody, they'll always come back. I think that most importantly, I think people have to develop skills. Education is important, but it's the balance of both. But people are mad, they don't have money, they're broke, they're promised certain things, they're not getting them, so what do? You rob, you steal, you kill. It doesn't make it right, but people are angry, and we need to talk about those problems, rather than just going on as usual.
All right, that's a good point, and as we go down the line, let's pick up on that. So you're angry, so you rob and steal and do this, but how does that affect the lives that your generation will lead and the conditions that your generation will live under?
I think also, in addition to the anger and the feelings of frustration that we were promised all of these things, and we're promised all of these things, and we're drilled, in school is drilled down to us, the American exceptional, we're exceptional, it's not only our culture, but it's American culture itself that pushes that selfishness, that pushes you're better than everybody else, and then you get out in the world and it's like, no, I don't have a job, I'm still paying student loans and all of that. But in addition, there's also layers of things that our community is facing. So one of the most frustrating things is when we talk about death due to police violence, and people bring up you're killing each other in your neighborhood. But it's not as if those things aren't being addressed. I know National Action Network addresses that work, and NAACP, but that same attention, that media attention that when we are marching in the streets against state violence, we don't get the same attention media-wise in terms of the work that we're doing every day, that Black associations, that seniors, and that other groups are doing every day. And so when we're talking about increasing, using the government structure and increasing after-school programs and increasing summer job opportunities and having youth center, all of that is addressing in totality the violence, the frustration, and other things in our community. So they're all layered together, and so it's not as if we can do one thing and say to our communities, well, if we stop killing each other, everything will be right. Because it's not going to be right. Because even if all guns are gone out of our community tomorrow, there will still be unemployed people. There will still be underemployed people. There will still be single parents trying to make a living. We'll still have an inadequate education system. So even with all of those things, in order to build our community as a whole, all of this work is necessary.
Go ahead, girl. Go ahead, girl.
I agree with both of you guys said. I feel like we are angry, and I feel like the media does not cover when NAN and NAACP and other organizations go out into the street and do things in our own community. But I also feel, and everyone might not like what I have to say, but I feel like there's a self-reflection needs to occur in our community as a whole. I feel like our people, okay, we come here every Monday. I don't know if everyone knows about the NAN Youth Huddle. And basically we talk with our youth, like Scoop said, listening to our youth and listening to what their pain and what they feel matters. And sometimes we have issues in the group, but it goes back to parenting. It goes back to the community, how it's set up. When I was growing up, it was a little different because I was sheltered. My mother was always there. I couldn't do anything without her being there, and it was annoying. But at the end of the day, I appreciate it now because it happens when I nurture. But today, a lot of parents don't care. They just send their kids out like the McDonald's fight, and I said it then. They send them like it's a daycare center. McDonald's is not a daycare center. The corner is not a daycare center. And sometimes I understand some parents work very, very hard, but some parents are not working. Some parents are just chilling at home. So we need to be more in our children's lives. We need to care as a community. Sometimes it's like, well, that's not my problem, that's not my child. That is your problem. This is your community. Them shooting each other, that affects us. Them not having a job, that affects us. Them not being able to go to college or even have the aspiration to want to go to college, that affects us. So we need to all reach back as a community and take care of our community. We need to do more. Yes, we do. Yes, those of us that do something should be commended, but we all need to do more. It's 76 millennials in America, millennials in America, 76 million. We need to do more for our people. Half of us, because we do hashtags on Twitter and the new Black Lives Matter movement, I don't even know if that's 1% of millennials in America that's awoke right now. That's awake at this moment, that knows what's going on or cares to know what's going on. Some of us feel that if we just put a hashtag in our Twitter, we've done something for the movement. That's not doing anything for the movement. I'm happy you're woke, but what are you going to do to give back? I'm happy the conversation has changed from, oh, why are we marching to why are we marching enough? But we need to do more. And I feel like that's reflected in our community. Yes, it goes to the government, and we have organizations and people on the ground hitting and talking about legislation like Andrew said. But as far as ourselves, we're really lost, and we have to do better as a whole. You need to look in the mirror. As Brother Sharpton says, the hero that you're looking for is you. It's you. Go ahead, baby. Go
Excellent. I just want to add to that. What she said is 100% correct. But we also have to realize that we have to recreate our culture, because our culture is lost. You know, this is by design. There's a school to prison pipeline. This is by design. When you walk into the projects, it's just a revolving door. The father went to jail. The kid was here. He picked up where the father left off. He made a new baby. The baby picks off where he left off, and you have 5 and 6 generations living in the same house under the same conditions. So if we don't realize and recognize those situations, then we'll never be able to stop us killing ourselves, because what we glorify is the gangster that was on the corner, not the young man that went to school or the preacher that was in the... That wasn't what we was taught to glorify. When we look at all the channels that are geared towards us, they're gearing us towards violence. They're making us believe that the last gangster who was in America we can be that. Not that we can be the next president or the next lawyer. That's not what we've been geared to. So the young man, when I was a young man, I idolized the gangster that was on the corner, that was pulling up in the BMWs. I wanted to be that. So until I started to seek knowledge of self and went through my own trials and tribulations, that was my goal. So that's the goal of 90% of the black men inside these communities. So we have to redefine our culture. We can't keep supporting negativity and then want positivity. We can't have that being the face of what we call Black America. When you look at most of these, as a hip hop artist myself, when you look at the hip hop artists that they promote to us, they're not promoting anything positive. They're not promoting anything of any substance. They're promoting that you're a trap king and you can hustle here and you got drugs here. So what do you think that the next generation is gonna want to be? So we have to focus on that. We have to focus on taking back our culture and redefining it and restructuring it.
Right. And that's a very good point. How do we go about that? How do you do that? Because this is really the challenge that your generation is facing.
Well, basically, we have to change the message. When you find out that when you educated, you have to, like she said, each one teach one. When I was a child, I thought as a child, and as a man, I thought as a man. So what I'm doing is I have 3 young kids that I'm raising. And I'm raising them within consciousness. I just think that as generations move along, we're moving further and further away from consciousness and unity. So we have to recreate that. We have to retell our kids that the boy next door is not your enemy. He's not your competition. That is your brother. You know, you want him to have what you have. You don't want to buy 2 pair of new sneakers and laugh at him because he doesn't have it. You know, we have to recreate that structure. Now, the whole thing is about you have more than someone else.
Right.
That wasn't what our culture was about, so we have to get back to that unity.
All right, Jay, I know you wanted to jump in and Brandon.
I mean, everyone's doing such a great job, I just want to say ditto. But the reality is, I know my son and I have similar circumstances, so outside of being decently successful in my business career, professional career, I also grew up below the poverty line, was a high school dropout, a 3-time felon, and did 2.5 years in prison. And so I understand the plight of the inner city black men. Right now, as a real estate developer and as an activist, we're building a Black Wall Street model in West Baltimore right now.
Come on now.
And in talking to the Bloods and Crips, the leader of the Bloods, OG Flex, I met him at the BT panel after the Freddie Gray revolt. And he said, we want to build a Black Wall Street, we need help. He said, it's all these nonprofits out here, but where they at? We don't see them. So the 4-point strategy we came up with was to unite, to locate, relate, and educate. Meaning that us as a people have to unite around culture. Who are we? This is my brother right here. I call every African person, African American, black, whatever you want to label yourself, Negro, colored, nigger, whatever you want to call yourself, I call you king and queen. You know why? Because we've been intentionally degraded. So I need to intentionally elevate this king. I need to intentionally elevate and honor that queen. And as we do that in our culture, we can start unifying. Right. Then we locate. Where are the issues happening at? Yeah. Go to those issues, locate them, and then we relate by being relatable, right. And then we educate comprehensively, socially, and economically.
And in fact, in many ways, what you're saying again, it shows you how history is linked, because I think during the time of Malcolm X, that was part of the message, was you need to learn about yourself, appreciate yourself, understand the power that's in your hand, which is what Adam said, and understand that black power could mean something in terms of your life and your generation. So I think what you're saying is very significant.
And Malcolm's where I got it from. I heard the Malcolm X speech, The Ballot or the Bullet. And Malcolm X said, we suffer from political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation, right? So like I said, I do real estate by trade. If I see a house that's broken, has a leaky roof, I fix the roof. If it has mold, I get mold remediation. If it has termites, I get termite remediation. So if our culture is suffering from political oppression, that means we need political power. If we're suffering from economic exploitation, it means we need economic elevation. If we're suffering from social degradation, that means we need social elevation. So all we do is plug and play. Whatever's wrong with us, we know what's wrong with us. We all can state every stat what's wrong with us. How we fix it is by reversing what's wrong. Just plug the holes in and now we're fixed. That's how we repair ourselves.
I think the deeper rooted issue with all of us is we don't love ourselves. I feel like we should stop hating each other. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to be real topical right now. Drake and Meek Mill. Hip-hop music. I write about hip-hop, I write about sports. It's in the music, it's in media. You have to be responsible in what you do. As much as people want to say it's just people, like, it's fuel from somewhere. If you watch a movie, you know, or for example, if there's any athletes here, if you're listening to a DMX song, you're getting pumped for a game. You listen to hate, you're gonna hate. You know, and it goes in one ear, it comes out the other way. It has to come out somewhere. So I feel at the end of the day, number one, we have to love each other. Tell each other that we love each other. Tell each other that you matter. You know, Black Lives Matter hashtag, like she said, is cool, but are you practicing what you're saying? Not just down for the cause because it sounds cool.
Right. Tola?
I think we have a really big issue here, and it's how do we stay true to ourselves while living in a world that glorifies the artificial. You know, we're on social media all day, every day, and social media has definitely changed the way that we digest the information. But I also feel like there is this shift that is bringing about these experiences, these events, these organizations, these platforms where young adults can go to, as opposed to just scrolling through our timeline to see, you know, what's going on. Like, we need to focus on that. I think we internalize and we spend a lot of time on what the problem is, but I'm kind of results driven. So what are we going to do to fix that? So, you know, the youth huddle, I'm super excited to join you guys next Monday, following Monday, but like what? Like, what exactly are we going to do? What organizations are we going to team up with to bring these experiences to